let me give you the quick rundown. Then I might even do you a drawing. I can't show you anything, but I think the Evo rules now are that I can tell you what happened. And I think that probably involves terrible paint drawings. This test was supposed to happen the previous day. We all loaded in. You can bring up the Fabricator from your freight elevator now, but there was an issue. Basically, the devs, they could see all the blueprints. We could not see any. The first test was a complete bust because of that. And so it came back yesterday, and it was supposed to be a timed thing where it was only up for a limited time, but it's still up. So if you are on Evo, you can go and test it out. But what you might think they might have done, they've obviously given us a load of blueprints that we don't normally own. And so that speeds the process up. They didn't though give us any materials. So there's no materials on your account. And so you literally had to go out and get the materials. I first went out and got a load of hand mining stuff. And then I got a load of ship mining stuff as well. I then went back to my hangar and then realized that the things I got quite a combo of things, but none of them actually made a recipe. And so then I had to go out this morning and I actually just went to buy some aluminium so that I could actually do some crafting. And there's lots of stuff to talk about. So there's quality is now in, and that's a big thing. The ability to dismantle is in, so you can dismantle things, but currently you can only dismantle what you've crafted. So that obviously is not the long-term plan. What I would say is it's early, it's very early, but it does work. The UI, is it the same UI shown at CitizenCon? No, so here we go. This is probably the first thing to talk about. So this was what we saw at CitizenCon, right? They had this whole kind of debug UI thing, development tools options. That is now not what it looks like. Let me try and draw it for you. You basically click on the crafting kiosk. So this is as it is. It looks like this and everything. You basically go up to this this window thing here. So you have a window, and down here there's three options, and they're your three options. And so you can click on each. I mean, they're separate buttons. There is a complete UI design in crafting your home video from 24. Oh, yes. So this one, yeah, it's nowhere near as polished as this. So this would be like this is what they showed us in 2024, the crafting your home, the big panel they did talking about. We'll reference this video a bit because there's some interesting stuff, but it's nowhere near as polished as this. It's like, this is obviously like just a mock-up, like a bit of concept art effectively. All the stuff they showed us here. It's nowhere near as fancy as this. It looks like a developer has done it just to get something in the game as a basic. It's not had like a full art pass. So let's put it like that. So this is where you select your blueprint. And so bit of information. So there's about roughly 180-ish. I tried to do a quick count, but my I think it's roughly around 180-ish blueprints in. So you could select different types of blueprints. So we've got armor, weapons, all the normal things. There is a search bar. And then under here basically is a list of tons of blueprints. So if you then click on one, so say in this example, I've clicked on a gun. So then you get an image of the gun. You then get what's required in this section here. So what I think is interesting, for this gun at least, they've broken it into a few different categories. So there's like a window here that shows you the material thing that you're looking for. There's what part of the gun it is. And then underneath it, what it requires. And then underneath, there's another one, and then there's another one. And some are just one, some are two, some require three things. But for this gun, there's the frame, there's the stock, and there's the barrel. And then it gives you a quantity. I probably made this slightly too small. So roughly it looks like that. There's a section at the bottom actually that allows you to autofill things in this bit here. So you can autofill your materials, because once you're on the material, so at this stage we're now on the material screen. We've selected our blueprint, we switch to the material screen, and it shows you what you've got in stock. Same basic layout. And so you can autofill the materials there, or you can drag them across to do the thing. And then the interesting bit probably for most people is this section over here on the right. The delivery section at the bottom where you decide where it gets delivered, and then there's a create button. But in here, there's two sections. There's a section on this side. This section here, there's a tiers section in here. So we're talking about weapon tiers. And this was a tier 1 blueprint that I had. But it talks about upgradable items and stuff. So sorry, in the stats bit, this is the interesting stuff. I'll tell you what's here. Effectively, they're starting to give us some stats that will be affected by the different quality of materials that we use. And obviously this would be different for different things. So for armor, this would not be the same. That's the gist there. My feedback here would be the blueprints. There's just a big, massive list of blueprints. They've obviously just given us a bunch of, like I said, about 180-ish blueprints. That probably won't be how it works in the game. Like, unless eventually you'd imagine you'd have to go and find these blueprints. They're not just all going to be there. So this is just for the test. What there isn't currently is there's no good way to search. You can't search by the materials that you have. So you can't flip it. And just, at the moment, you have to click on each blueprint to see, can I craft this or whatever. There's no way to say, well, here's the materials I've got. What blueprints can I make? There's probably some stuff that CRG will have to do there to make the system a bit less clunky. It's a bit clunky at the moment, I would say. The big thing let's talk about next is let's talk about quality. So there's quality changes now in for the materials. So I went off and did some mining. You've got the little kind of rock things, and we'll do a red laser. So each of these different little rocks, when you crack them and pick up the things, they've all got different quality levels on them. So if you're not aware of the quality stuff, CRG talked about quality. So this is what quality is. New property of resources carried forward through refining, which it is because I then did some chip mining and refining in a bit. So I'll talk about that in a minute. And it influences the purpose of the material in crafting. So it's not how much, but how good. This is effectively what happens here. It's basically this. So from this rock, there were something, but then from a different rock, these ones are worth something else. And so all the rocks from this rock were 852. All the ones that came out of this rock were 85. But from this rock, say this was also hadnite, it was like 684 or something like that. So each little rock that you break gives you different quality. Yeah, good point. You can't see the quality on the gemstones before extracting it like the minerals. Yeah, so that's a key point. You have to crack the rock and then you see the gems, what they're all worth. One key thing that I haven't changed here, what they talked about in the past, this is like a ship rock. What they talked about in the past is that they're going to move from rocks having different materials in them to just being one material per rock, and there'd be different quality or something in there. That isn't in. That's not currently in. What I'm looking at here, so this imagine this is the UI, this is what I'm looking at. So this is the rock I'm mining. And so this one has got, that I'm looking at, it's got 30.5% hephaestonite, and then it's also got 46% iron. That's 743, and then it's got inert. That's what's in this rock. And so they haven't done the thing where this rock has only got iron in, for instance, but iron of different qualities. That's kind of what they talked about. You think that will come with Planetech V5? Maybe, potentially. When you scan the rock, you can see the quality on them. So unlike the hand mineral stuff where you have to break it, then you can see the gem quality. On here, you can see the quality of what you're looking for. What I eventually ended up having to do, I went and bought some aluminium which had no quality. So that may have affected how it all kind of ties them together. I was basically building a weapon with two items or two parts of it that didn't have quality on the things. They were all green. Those bottom three are green because I think that means they're the ones that are getting affected by what I've done here. So they've got 0.00%. So I'm guessing that's the range that it can go in, and then this one is plus 4.2, and then that's that same there. And so my assumption is that based on the quality that you feed in, it moves these things up this scale. Because I had to buy some aluminium because I couldn't find any. That has no quality, so I'm assuming that messes up how this all works. You click create on that, you get another screen. So you get a queue screen. At the top, there's like says craft, upgrade, repair section. That's there. And then underneath, there's it just shows you what you're doing. And then there's also a dismantle queue down here. And then on the right-hand side, finished, shows you stuff that's finished. And then the dismantle, I put the gun basically like this. I put the gun onto the tray of the machine. The machine then sees it. Similar thing here. So just instead of this, it just says items. At the moment, you can only dismantle things you've crafted. So I had the gun that I'd made, there's a dismantle button in the bottom corner here. You dismantle it, and then you can choose, do you want the materials to pop up in here again? The boxes, I chose for the boxes to reappear in the crafting machine, or you can get them sent into your inventory, I think. Obviously, the thing with this is that eventually the dismantling might be the major thing of that might drive looting everywhere you go. If you're looting materials that you know you can dismantle to get certain materials out of it, that could be quite a major part of the game. But currently at the moment, you can't dismantle like every item in the game. You got high quality alu and moved the fire rate from 650 to 742 on the FS9. Nice. Okay, so that's a good example of what it will do. In theory, I mean, if I just give some overall thoughts, in theory, it's a huge change to the game. Obviously, what we're getting here is a tier 0, to kind of make it clear. This isn't like, oh, this is ready to go live. Although, as I said this the other day, when they put engineering in the tech preview, I was like, there's no way that's going to go live anytime soon. And then they just chucked it in. So there's a chance maybe this comes, but I'd say it depends how quickly they kind of iterate on it. But ship it live now. I don't think they'll be shipping it live now. There's some major things from this process that are not here. So obviously the blueprint system, they've just given us a load right now that are just in our machine. They have to obviously put them in the loot pool, or again, the reputation reward, buying them, whatever. That system isn't in the game. So that probably needs to come before it comes into live. The UI is pretty plain, is what I would say. There's no item tier stuff at this stage, as far as I can tell. And obviously the idea of vehicle crafting is way off. There's all sorts, but it's a start. And I think for certain people, it is going to be a game changer in that it will, for some people, I think it will be the thing they want to do in the game. They just run around the verse, collecting materials to get a gun that they upgrade. Like, I think it becomes an actual, just crafting itself becomes a gameplay loop for people, even in this pretty basic state. But we will have to see. We will have to see.